Welcome back to Car Foolery. It has been a long time. This is the first episode in a new series of the DB1 Integra. We are Roadkill style, taking it out of its 10-month slump of living in the forest on jack stands with a broken radiator, cylinder misfire, and ruined swampy interior, and fixing it up enough to a true daily driver status. We're going to give it even more street cred than ever before, and then finally take it hill climb racing at Larison Rock in beautiful, sleepy Oak Ridge, Oregon. With me nearly every step of the way is my great friend Ryan Rayburn. Rayburn is going to race the Integra with me, first against an SW20 MR2, and then we're going to do a Rayburn versus Rink to see who is the best shitbox street racer. Make sure that you're subscribed to Car Foolery and hit the bell so you don't miss any episodes that are going to be leading up to the final climax of us at the hill climb races.
The story starts in April of 2020 in the mountains of Shotgun Creek. Rink and I went soft-roading with the Integra, where Rink took a trail he shouldn't have, smashed a rock into the radiator support, and popped a hole in the radiator. If that wasn't enough, he then decided it was a good idea to try to drive over a fallen tree, where a branch then popped the side wall of one of the tires.
I, of course, got the car back home, but I had to park it in the woods where my parents wouldn't see it because they hated that car. So, after sitting in the rain in the forest for a full year, my parents were ready to murder me, and I asked Rayburn to help me fix it up.
This brings us to April of 2021, where we find the Integra on jack stands, in the mud with parts robbed off of it, and an interior full of spiders, mold, and mouse turds.
It's been a long time, but as you can see, this is where the Integra's been hiding since mid-July of 2020. Today is April the 12th of 2021, and Ryan and I are going to get started on this beast. Things you need to know, the GTR spoiler is gone, because the GTR was sold. But this is the spoiler off of the Prelude, so we will eventually be maybe putting that on. We'll find out. We have a lot of different wheels and tires to choose from now for the Integra. We have the stock wheels here, which are on the terrible tires. In the trunk are the Prelude's Falcon Azenas tires, which we used in the Shitbox Showdown, and it still didn't corner that well. These are the Prelude wheels, so if we go racing again, we have options. What we also get to see, if it fits, are the Prelude's 13x8s, which have Toyo Proxy R888Rs. So if these fit, this will help immensely when we go racing, but not when we go off-roading. So we're gonna have options. The only things we need to do today for the Integra, before we do the initial startup, we will reinstall the intake. Steven stole it for a bit for the Prelude. We'll make sure it has motor oil in it, actually. Now that we're officially in love with it, we're gonna start actually taking care of it. When we prove that the car still misfires really bad under throttle or when it gets up to full temperature, we have the mystery bag that Ryan and I got from the junkyard not that long ago. The contents of the mystery bag just might solve the misfiring issue. The other thing that needs to happen under the hood, the radiator still has a hole in it, so we gotta fix that before we do any long-term driving with this as well. Other than that, I think that's the engine taken care of. Now that we knew what we were working with, we set up a makeshift workstation and began our labor of love. The first thing we needed to do was get wheels on it and get it back on the ground. Dude, that's a good one right there.
Is that the flat one?
No. That's the flat one. Your turn.
Oh. Normally you probably want to, put this under a pinch weld, but this frame's so beat up, doesn't really matter.
Is this safe? How the brakes looking? Good. Make sure it's on there really good, because this is a high performance car.
We were sure 20 foot-pounds was plenty to secure the wheel to the car.
Did you used to work at a tire shop?
A couple of them.
I think that'll be fine.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic.
I think just one good drive and the rust will come off. Good enough.
Oh, dude.
The wheel bearing shot?
Something.
That's on the list.
And tie rods.
That's on the list. All right, dude, I'm excited to see it on the ground again. It's been a long time. Oh, yeah.
With the wheels back on and the car finally on the ground again, it was time to get the engine ready for its first startup after its year in the Willamette Valley rainforest.
Boom, air filtered. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, it's perfectly where it's supposed to be. That's fantastic.
And unexpected.
Yeah, it's great.
Feeling ecstatic that the oil didn't all leak out, it was time to plug in the battery and see if it would start.
It even sounds okay. It has a quarter tank of gas. Wow. Feels out of balance.
It's misfiring.
Is it? Yeah. Is that what it is? Just run on 3? Sounds great. Oh, we should probably put water in the radiator. This is going to be the water for the radiator.
There's a surprising amount of water that's left in that.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Why are we doing this? Doesn't it leak out?
Yeah, well, we're going to drive it to where we can work on it better.
Oh.
I drove it for an hour after we popped the radiator, and it never got over hot. Like, it didn't get on the red.
You mean it didn't indicate that it got over?
Yeah.
With the car moving again, it had some more off-roading to do.
It just wants to go. You don't need a fucking Jeep. You don't need a Jeep. You don't need a Jeep. We made it to the parking lot.
We then gave the car a look over, and it was test drive time.
You look depressed.
Safety first!
I think the mold will kill you before a car accident does.
Has the ABS light always been on?
Oh, it comes and goes.
During the test drive, we realized that we never actually tightened the wheels all the way.
Let me put my seatbelt on, just in case if a wheel falls off.
We didn't torque those. I'm really afraid that a wheel is like coming off.
Well, we have 3 lug nuts on this wheel. We got all 4 on this one. Oh. It's loose.
Yeah.
After surviving the first test drive, we were starting to see just how much work it was going to take to get this thing ready to race again.
So, tighten the wheels.
Cool.
We only drove the car about 2 miles and the nuts had backed themselves off that much.
Just dial the camber out of it.
Well, it doesn't even have matching size lug nuts.
We can fix that. With love and a little bit of money, we can fix anything, Ryan.
Another problem we experienced in the test drive was not being able to really see out of the windows, so I decided to give it a quick cleanup.
What's nice about Hondas or Honda products is that you don't care about them enough, so that when all the water and mud gets in there, you just spray it out again. Because who gives a fuck? It still has good tags. Till August. That's probably good. What do you think?
Now that the wheels aren't dangerous to where we could actually die, feels great. Feels
Oh
good.
man, I'm getting water through the dash into my shoe. It's leaking water down there somehow. That's not good.
Do some brake boosting.
Gonna clean the rust off. How does she feel around the corner?
Feels good.
It would be better if it was a manual. It doesn't completely ruin it that it's an automatic. It's still worth enjoying even as an automatic.
Oh yeah.
If you're out there, if you're a 17-year-old and you want to get a cool 90s car and you can only afford a 4-door automatic Integra, you can have fun. Let's just do this the smartest way possible, and we'll tackle the most bad part of the vehicle first. I think this car's #1 problem is the overheating, because even though the misfire is super annoying, you can get around. But you can't drive the car for more than like 20 minutes or so, it seems like. We're gonna go straight for the radiator, and so that's gonna be our first project.
Have you ever looked at the brake fluid in this?
No. Is it empty?
Almost entirely.
Oh, well then we'll put some in there.
Turns out the ABS light on the dash was actually just because the fluid was too low.
Oh, that's the other problem. Automatic trans cooler is built in the radiator, so those lines are connected. Ah, what a great car. Oh. Is this where we watch the original footage of when I poked a hole in the radiator to see where it's leaking, so that we know where to fix it? Just got the little hole pokey thing. Ryan Rayburn left because he's a fuck, but this is the radiator, and down here, pretty sure that's where our leak is coming from, because everything else on the radiator looks actually great. What we're gonna do, take this useless Dutch Bros gift card and JB Weld. We're gonna mix this, and then we're just gonna goop the absolute living shit out of all of that. I think that will be enough to salvage this radiator. Goop. Welcome to week 2. We got the radiator out, and I mixed up the JB Weld concoction, which cost us $0. As you see here, that is where the damage was. And what happened was the corner of this fan got smashed in and poked the hole, but I think that's good. It's had a whole week for the JB Weld to settle, which is way more than the 6 hours it said it needed. So we are going to pop this back in, reconnect the transmission lines, reconnect the coolant lines, fill it up with water, run it, let it get hot, build up pressure, see if it leaks. Hopefully it doesn't. If it leaks a little bit, we have Bars Leaks radiator stop leak concentrate, which will definitely fix any problems that we may come into contact with. That was also $0 because I had an AutoZone credit. So yeah, and then I have some leftover automatic transmission fluid to top this off. So we're sticking well with our budget of $0 to get this thing banging like a champ and race ready again. So let's get right back into the action. We'll probably want a fan. That was the air conditioning radiator. I pulled out a bunch of the air conditioning stuff so it's out of the way. So weight reduction and simplicity.
Man, when you shove a rock up into the core support, that stuff just does not want to fit like it used to.
We're ready to fill it up and see how much it leaks. The Lord giveth. This is nature's bounty.
Drink, my child.
I left the ignition on the other day because I rolled the windows down. I wanted to get some of the forest funk smell out of it. So we'll see if it starts. If it doesn't, I've got just the thing.
This is where we noticed the power steering belt was pretty loose. And then after that I checked the transmission fluid.
Nothing on the stick. We'll put a little in. The walls are wet, but the actual spot in between is.
With the cooling system restored to perfection and the transmission fluid topped off, it was time for another test drive.
Have we made sure the wheels are on tight this time?
Blinkers work. The temp went down. Alright, let's see how she does. That was an accident. All the windows work. Hill climb time! Oh yeah, turn it up. Nice. It's doing so good. Fucking blinkers work. It's a gem in disguise. You holding on? Yeah, I gotta tighten that belt. That should be. That's the next top priority, actually. That's what's letting it down the most. That's what we said we were gonna do. We're gonna keep knocking down top priorities as they arrive.
And new priority is the power steering belt.
Yep. God, it's so loose. How do you get to it though? Is it just this?
Yeah.
Oh fuck, it's supposed to have a adjuster bolt in that. Oh. Well, we don't have that bolt, so we're gonna have to improvise. I've got an idea.
The idea was to use a hammer to pry the belt tight and lock it into place.
Okay. No adjustment bolt, no problem.
So, what is in the magic bag? Well, let me show you. Stuff we stole from the junkyard. Fuel pressure regulator and 4 new injectors that are not broken and all came off. Well, that one's broken, but they all came off. I assume was a good running car back in its day. I don't know, we'll swap these in and see how they go.
While pulling out the original injectors, we had a problem breaking off their little caps.
So that's bad. Pulling in my hand. So hopefully the new injectors look just like these injectors. I think we'll just throw these in and see what happens. If it runs the same, then
We know that's not a problem.
yeah, we'll move on to a fuel pressure problem. O-ring, O-ring, O-ring. Okay.
All right, so we got the, well, we have 3 new injectors in, and then we kept one of the original ones that we were working with because we got them all to visually match. We lost one of the clips that holds the wires onto the injector, so that could become a problem in the near future. We did not replace the fuel pressure regulator. 1, because we don't have vacuum line to even have it connected in the first place, and 2, I just want us to change, you know, kind of one thing at a time instead of changing a bunch of things at a time. And then if something goes wrong, you have to diagnose a more difficult way. So we're gonna prime the system, make sure we're not leaking anywhere, and then we're gonna see if it starts up and runs and idles, and then we'll go from there.
All right, go ahead and start.
Does it sound the same or better?
Better.
Alright, so I'm trying to figure out why it was misfiring.
Rayburn left for the day, and I didn't touch the car until days later, and I was determined to get to the bottom of the misfire issue. I never messed with the fuel pressure regulator because in the very first video we made with the Integra, we bypassed the regulator and it ran perfectly, so I was beginning to think the problem was related to its ignition. So I took the spark plugs out to inspect them. The plugs were looking a little crusty, and there was water sitting on top of cylinder 3's plug, which was the cylinder that was misfiring. So I tried the old trick of cleaning everything with sandpaper and getting corrosion off of everything so that the spark would be stronger. Then when I put everything back together, the car wouldn't run at all.
Now instead of having a 3-cylinder Integra, we've got a 0-cylinder.
So despite my $0 budget, it was time to order $60 worth of Rock Auto parts and pray that the new parts would fix the issue. When it was time to replace the distributor rotor, things began making more sense. The screw that held the rotor on was seized in place and stripped out. With the rotor's screw being stripped out like it was, I was starting to wonder if it had never really been replaced, or at least not replaced in a really long time. That would definitely not help with the ignition. So I had to use a grinder to hack it up enough to get a good angle for the screw. But in doing so, the grinder hit one of the wires for the distributor. So before moving forward, I had to repair the cut wire. With that fixed, I kept moving forward with the part swapping until it was all back together and time to see if it would start again.
Alright. Pray for me.
At this point, if the car didn't start up, I was out of ideas, and I was literally going to have it trailered to a scrapyard so that I could get $100 for whatever the metal was worth and just move on with my life. So, here goes nothing.
God damn it, I just want this thing to fucking run. So, new spark plugs are in it. I already checked all the gaps. To my knowledge, everything is correct as possible. Holy hell. It just wanted to go.
And just like that, we had a B18 banging on all 4 again. The tachometer never worked again, but who cares, it's an automatic. Until next time, everybody. See you in the next episode.
Editor's note. Ow.
Do I look ready?
You look depressed.
I am depressed.
We made it to the parking lot.
You don't need a fucking Jeep. You don't need a Jeep. You don't need a Jeep. Next. Nothing to be desired. This is the prelude. This is the spoiler off of the prelude.
All right, May 4th, working on the Integra, and we have an audience now. Looks like a pack of baby spiders were born, so that's awesome.